Okay, first of all, we need to finish this method. We need to finish the scanning logic, how we can scan all the RPC methods. Once we finish this method, we can go back to the private fields, the client ID, the two private fields, the client ID and the scan packages, and we can inject the values in the annotation into these fields, into these two fields. And we can do it later after we finish this method. The scanning method, the logic is first, what are we doing? We need to scan, so which means we need to, we need to loop the scan package. We loop it because it can be identified. You can provide multiple scanning package in the annotation. All right. So now the first step is we need to loop it, and then the best way is we can replace the dot with a slash. Okay, so the important thing is how could we scan the class we want? How can we scan them? Let's say because you look at this, what we want is that we scanned an implementation class. We do not accept interface or abstract. So we are scanning the class. We have two requirements. The first one is this implementation class is not interface, it's not abstract, and also it must be the implementation, it must be implemented from the remote service, or it must be implemented from the RPC service, which in turn extends from the remote service, right? So because this is this booking detail service is the RPC interface. Why do I say this is the RPC interface? Because it extends from the remote service. So we need to define our filtering logic. So in Spring, we can use a class called class path scanning candidate component provider. The name is too long, we can say scan provider. Scan provider. Okay, so in the constructor, we need to give them a Boolean value. So we say false. So this false meaning that we don't use the default filters. Okay, let's go inside. If we jump into it, let's see what the default filter is. This. All right, so if we give the default value, default filter is true, then it calls this method. Let's go into it. This method, look. They put something into the include filters. This is a list. And what is it? A component. So this is a very common Spring Boot annotation. So we use this annotation to tell the Spring that that this class needs to be managed by Spring. And any class in Spring Boot, using Spring Boot with this component annotation will be scanned as a bin definition, and later on this class will be instantiated as a bin. Okay, so now what we want to do is that we are not using this default filters, so we give them a false. We give it a false. So we can add our own filter. So what we can do is that scan provider add include filter. So what do I want? What do we want? What do we want? What we want is we need to have a type filter, right? So we need to assignable type filter. What type do you want? We need to have a class. So object. So if you pass object into it, you can scan all the class, all the implementation class. So it won't be interface, it won't be abstract. Okay, So when we get this out, and then we can call the next method called scanProvider dot find candidate components, and we give it a base package, so which is a scanning package, right? And then it will come into this scan package, and using the filters that we give it to scan out all the potential and valid class. And most importantly, they give you a bin definition of those classes. And now you scan them out. Now the next is we loop the bin definition. So inside the bin definition, what are we going to do? Because right now, logically, because we put this one, we put this annotation on the booking application, and we import the RPC client. And once we import the RPC client, it registers as a bin in Spring application in the Spring container. And then when it's running up, it will scan the class from in this based on this base package I provide, so which is this folder. So logically, it can scan this class out because this is only one class that can meet the criteria of the filters, the include filters we provide. Okay, so there's only one class that can it's valid and qualified. All right, and the next step is, because we get the bin definition, what I want is that I want to scan this class and see which method have this annotation marked as RPC, and I want to find this method out. So what can I do? In here, in the bin definition, we can first get the class first, right? Now, there's one thing I missed. If I have a multiple class, like say I have a booking brief, a booking upload, okay, upload service, a booking upload service, IMPL. That's fine. Wait, IMPL maybe it's better, right? IMPL. So let's say this class implements something, but the interface is not extends from the remote service. It does not implement the remote service. So this class cannot be considered as a RPC interface or RPC class, right? It doesn't implement a remote service. So when we scan that out, because our scan logic is, as long as it's implementation class, is object.class, then we can find them out. So the next step is we need to find out all the classes implemented from this remote service. So what we can do is that inside this loop, we can use a reflection for name. Then we can use the bin definition. The bin definition have the bin class name. All right. So we can use this reflection to get the class, and then we need to try and catch. Okay, in the try catch, we have the class. Now we need to check if this class can be assigned from the remote service. If yes, this is the interface, this is the class that we want to find, right? This class is qualified. So then we need to have So in this case, we need to have a list to put this class, to save this class in it. We say class list. So any class, any qualified class, we add into this class list. Okay, so when this for loop is over, this list, this class list, has already contained all the valid remote service class or RPC class in it, in this package, right? So when the outer for loop is over, basically we find out all the RPC classes in the package we provide, right? The user provides. Okay, so the next step is we need to loop this class list, because all the class in this class list, they are qualified class, they are qualified RPC class. Okay, qualified RPC class or implemented class. Okay, so now the next step is I need to find out the methods that have the method annotated by the markers RPC. So reflection class, change the name. So we use a reflection to get all the methods, get declare methods. We get all the methods from this class, and then we loop again. We loop all these methods. Now, if declare method it contains the annotation called readers mark as RPC, this is RPC method. So we find the RPC method. What are we going to do then? First, we need to extract the meta of the method. Second, we need to save the meta info. Third, we need to save this method. So where do we save it? So we need to, of course, we need to have two maps, right, in this case. So we can say we need two maps to do this. Alright, so next lesson we continue this method.